Hey guys, I just want to share with you a quick tip for mapping samples in HISE. So I've got some samples here, and this is for mapping samples that are going to be spread across the velocity range. And I've got dynamic 1, dynamic 2, dynamic 3, and I've also got 3 different mics in here, but we're just focusing on the dynamics. So there's 3 dynamics. Dynamic 1 I want to go in the lower part of the velocity, dynamic 2 in the middle, and dynamic 3 at the top. And I'll probably add some crossfading to them afterwards. Now usually what you'd do is you'd select all the dynamic ones. So let's just filter to dynamic 1. So this is the procedure that you usually follow in most samplers are in Contact. So you'd select dynamic 1 and then you'd map dynamic 1, and we'll just set that to ignore. So we're just going to map it dynamic 1, and then you'd adjust the velocity to where you'd like it. So I would put it down there, and then dynamic 2, do the same thing, and just do the same thing here. And again, adjusting the velocity. To get these little sliders to appear, by the way, just right click on the value edit boxes and these little sliders appear. And that works for these boxes up here as well. Just right click on them. Makes it a bit easier to make larger adjustments. And dynamic 2 would be about there. And we'll do the same thing with dynamic 3 and put that above it. So that's the general idea. That's usually how you go about doing this. In HISE it's much quicker though, so let's just clear this out. I'm just going to load in an empty sample map just to clear everything out there. And instead of doing it one dynamic at a time, which is quite slow, let's get rid of that filter. We're just going to select all the samples. So I've got 522 samples here. That's including the 3 mic positions. And I'm going to select the file name token parser. That's what I was using before. And then we've got dynamic 1 here, and for the property we're going to select velocity spread. I think it's velocity spread, let me just check. Spreads velocity over the complete range. Yep, that's what we want. So velocity spread, set that to custom for the data type, and you can see it picks up the values from dynamic 1, 2 and 3 and it puts them over here. And now we hit OK, and they're already mapped for us. So the only other thing to do is to crossfade these samples. So to do that, we select the samples and click this button here for crossfading. And now we can adjust the overlap. So let's say I want to overlap them all by about, I want to make this one come down by 10. So I'm just going to change that from 85 to 75. And we'll have this one come down by 10 as well. So that's 42 currently. So we'll change that to 32. And now we need to apply the crossfade, which is these 2 values here. You can see it says low velocity X fade, upper velocity X fade. So for these ones it'll just be a lower value of 5 because we're crossfading. We've overlapped them by 10. And for these it'll be a upper value of 5 and a lower value of 5 for the going down to the next dynamic. And for this one it's just an upper value of 5. So we get the crossfading as well. Actually, that should be 10, shouldn't it? Not 5. Yeah, 10 on each of them, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Oops. There we go. So that's a really quick way to map samples to different velocity levels, different velocity ranges within the mapping editor. And of course you can adjust this if you want the upper range to actually start higher up. You can then go in manually and adjust it later, but it just means you don't have to do that business of dragging in one dynamic at a time, mapping it, and then dragging in the next dynamic. Alright guys, I hope you found this useful, just a quick tip, and I'll see you next time.